Welcome to Screen Scan, your ultimate destination for all things cinema. Today, we will delve into the 2018 movie, The Bad Seed. Get ready to scan the screen with us, right here on Screen Scan. There's a girl named Emma, and she sees a cat drowning in the fountain at her house. Instead of feeling sad or trying to help, she just gets ready for school. Emma is smart and has lots of certificates. She's also really neat and likes things organized. She has breakfast with her dad, David, who's taking care of her since her mom passed away. Emma tells David about a medal she hopes to win at school. Later, Emma's Aunt Angela comes over. She suggests finding a new nanny for Emma, but Emma says she doesn't want one. Emma tells them about the dead cat, but she doesn't seem upset. At school, a wasp comes in, and Emma calmly helps get it out, impressing her teacher, Mrs. Ellis. Meanwhile, David interviews a new babysitter named Chloe. He hires her and tells her to start next week. At school, Emma overhears a girl named Katie taking a boy named Milo's watch. Emma trips Katie, but then helps her up, trying to impress Mrs. Ellis. But secretly, Emma steals Milo's watch. On the day of the prize ceremony, Emma is nervous. She wants to win the medal, but Mrs. Ellis gives it to Milo instead. Emma is really sad and can't believe she lost. David talks to Mrs. Ellis about Emma, but Mrs. Ellis finds Emma hard to understand. Later, Emma tricks Milo into going into the forest and pushes him down, taking the medal. When Milo's found dead, Emma doesn't seem to care. At home, David and Angela worry about how the recent events might affect Emma, but they don't realize Emma is listening. The next day, David finds Emma having breakfast. He tries to talk to her, but she seems strangely unaffected by what happened to her classmate. Chloe, the new nanny, arrives, and David shows her around the house. That evening, David goes out, leaving Emma and Chloe alone. Chloe looks at David's photos and seems to like him. Emma catches Chloe stealing sedative medicine. Later, they watch TV together, and Chloe asks Emma if she's still sad about her classmate's death. Emma says there's no point in being sad because he's dead. Emma confronts Chloe about stealing the medicine and blackmails her into getting her ice cream. Chloe reluctantly agrees. The next day, Emma and David attend Milo's funeral. Emma pretends to be sad, but David notices she's acting. Back home, David tidies Emma's room and finds her toy under the bed but doesn't notice her hidden medal. That evening, he looks at party photos and sees Emma's angry look at Milo's medal, making him suspicious of her. The next day, Mrs. Ellis visits with her lawyer and tells David that someone saw Emma with Milo in the woods. Emma overhears and breaks a jar to distract them. After Mrs. Ellis leaves, David tends to Emma's wound. Emma lies, saying Mrs. Ellis hates her. The next day, Chloe asks David if she can take Emma out. When they see Mrs. Ellis at Milo's house, Chloe becomes convinced Emma is involved in his death. Chloe warns Emma about the consequences of the police finding out the truth, making Emma nervous. After a while, Chloe looks for Emma at home but can't find her. By chance, she spots Milo's medal. She also notices that the wasp nest near the workshop is gone. Meanwhile, Mrs. Ellis leaves Milo's house and gets into her car, unaware of the wasp nest on the sofa behind her. Startled by a wasp on her face, she narrowly avoids an accident. When David returns home, he checks on Emma and then goes to his room, unaware of the medal in the lampshade. Emma tries to grab the medal before he sees it, but he notices she's hiding something and asks her to show him. Shocked, he sits with her and asks how she got it. Chloe interrupts and tells David she found the medal under the bed. Emma, feeling angry, tells her father she and Milo were playing and agreed she could have the medal if she won. David takes the medal and leaves. Later, he calls his sister to seek therapy for Emma. On his way, he witnesses an accident. While David sleeps, he dreams of Milo looking at Emma, and it terrifies him. In the morning, Emma confronts Chloe for her actions, revealing she knows Chloe's intentions. David takes Emma to Milo's family and returns the medal to his mother, who is surprised to see it. Emma lies, saying they were playing, and she was too scared to return it after what happened. Milo's mother thanks her and mentions Mrs. Ellis's accident caused by a wasp's nest in her car. Emma pretends to be sad, claiming Mrs. Ellis was her favorite teacher. As David and Emma walk, he notices her improved behavior but becomes worried when she wants to play. Back in the workshop, David realizes the wasp's nest in the ceiling is gone, raising suspicions about Emma's involvement in Mrs. Ellis's death. The next day, David takes Emma to the therapist, expressing his concerns about her behavior. He feels she's lying and lacks empathy. During the session, Emma lies to the therapist. However, the therapist reassures David that Emma is just like any other girl her age and advises him to connect with her and understand her better. Upon returning home, David finds Chloe basking in the sun. He instructs her to go to Emma's room, but Chloe's presence irritates Emma. Chloe tells Emma that David likes her and suggests she might become her father's wife soon. Emma becomes furious, clearly harboring ill thoughts toward Chloe. Later that evening, David is startled to find Emma in his room. She reveals what Chloe said and expresses her disapproval of having a stepmother. David reassures her before rushing off to an appointment. Meanwhile, Chloe sits down to watch TV but hears a loud noise. Unable to find Emma, she imagines someone in David's workshop. When she enters, the door locks behind her and a fire engulfs the room. Terrified, Chloe sees Emma watching from outside the window. She breaks the window but succumbs to the fire. Emma watches until she's certain Chloe is dead before walking away. Upon his return, David finds emergency services at his house and learns of Chloe's death. He realizes these incidents aren't coincidences. When the police leave, he sits with Emma, expressing his love but urging her to tell the truth. Emma confesses to taking Milo's medal and pushing him when he threatened to expose her. She also reveals her involvement in the deaths of the nanny and Mrs. Ellis. David is horrified by Emma's revelations and the extent of her actions. In the morning, the investigator calls David to question Emma, but he fibs, saying she's too exhausted to talk. He promises they'll visit once she's feeling better. Hastily, he rouses Emma and they retreat to their lakeside house for some quiet contemplation. They're met by Brian, the housekeeper, upon arrival. David confides in Angela about the situation, but she refuses to believe Emma could be involved. With a heavy heart, David contemplates drastic measures, holding a gun in his hand, indicating his inner turmoil. Soon after, the police call, informing him the workshop fire was caused by someone. Later, David, overwhelmed by exhaustion, has a troubled dream, only to awaken to Emma watching him. He reacts with a shout. That night, Emma kisses him while he sleeps, then attempts to poison him with gas. Fortunately, David awakens just in time to avert disaster. Meanwhile, Emma takes a stroll by the lake, adding to David's growing apprehension. Upon confronting her, Emma confesses her fear of losing him and being taken away by her Aunt Angela, whom she claims loves her dearly. In a sorrowful act of protection, David spikes Emma's juice with sedatives, heartbroken by the necessity of his actions. He watches over her until she falls asleep. David reaches out to Angela, disclosing Emma's actions and pleading for understanding, but Angela, too, dismisses his concerns. While he sleeps, Emma awakens and approaches him. She has a gun with her and makes him catch and shoot himself. Luckily, the bullet misses him, and he wakes up. Feeling dizzy, David confronts Emma, who calmly reveals she switched their juice cups, knowing his intentions. As he tries to disarm her, Emma manipulates the situation, calling the police and falsely claiming David is after her with a gun. Terrified, Emma flees to the bathroom and screams for help. Desperate to reach Emma, David breaks down the bathroom door, only to be intercepted by Brian, the housekeeper, armed with a gun. Brian demands David surrender his weapon, but David refuses, resolved to end the turmoil. In a tragic turn, Brian fires, fatally striking David. The next morning, the police arrive and take David's body, while Angela offers solace to Emma, painting David as unstable and promising to compensate her for enduring him. Emma embraces her aunt, hiding a victorious smile, having achieved her goals without leaving any trace of evidence behind. For more insights and breakdowns of intriguing films like this, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.